Take a sip of cold water right after brushing your teeth with mint toothpaste. The water hits your mouth and it feels freezing. Sharper than cold water normally feels. Almost painful. But the water hasn't changed. It's the same temperature it has always been. What changed wasn't the water. What changed was you. Here's what's actually happening inside your mouth. Once you understand it, you'll never taste mint quite the same way again. Deep inside the nerve endings of your tongue and skin, there's a protein called TRPM8. It's an ion channel, a tiny pore embedded in the membrane of a sensory neuron. When the channel opens, ions rush in, the neuron fires, and an electrical signal races toward your brain, which interprets that signal as cold. Cold opens TRPM8. Specifically, temperatures below roughly 26 degrees Celsius cause the channel to change shape, the pore to widen, and the neuron to activate. This is the molecular basis of cold sensation, and it isn't a metaphor. It's worth saying clearly that this isn't the body's only way of sensing cold. Other receptors and pathways contribute too. But TRPM8 is the specific channel behind this particular illusion, and its physical shape genuinely does respond to temperature. Now here's the remarkable part. There's a small, simple compound found in the leaves of mint plants that also opens TRPM8. It's called menthol. When menthol reaches the nerve endings in your mouth, it binds to the channel at a site distinct from where temperature acts, and it essentially forces the channel into its open shape. The result is the same. Ions flow in, the neuron fires, an action potential travels to the brain, and you feel cold. Not metaphorically cold. Not kind of cold. The exact pattern of electrical spikes arriving at your brain is identical to the pattern that would arrive if your mouth were actually at a low temperature. The channel doesn't send a note explaining that the trigger was a molecule this time. It simply opens. The neuron simply fires. The brain simply receives. This is the central insight. Your sensory nerves don't measure temperature the way a thermometer measures temperature. They don't produce one signal for cold and a different signal for menthol. They produce a single kind of signal, receptor activation. Cold is one way to trigger that activation. Menthol is another. The nerve reports the event, not the cause behind it. Menthol doesn't actually lower the temperature of your mouth. Your tongue is still around 35 degrees. What menthol does is shift the activation threshold of the channel so it opens at much warmer temperatures, including ordinary body temperature. The channel that's supposed to be waiting for cold starts firing at room temperature instead. That's why cold water after toothpaste feels so extreme. Your receptors are already sensitized. The water doesn't need to be as cold to trigger them. It feels colder than it actually is. Think of the channel as a lock. Cold is one key. Menthol is another key. Both keys turn the same lock, and on the other side of that door is the identical neural message: cold. This reflects something bigger than one receptor. It's a basic design principle of the nervous system. Receptors respond to whatever fits them, and the nerve reports the fit, not the identity of the key. Now here's the elegant mirror image. There's a related channel in your sensory nerves called TRPV1, part of the same broad protein family, built along similar lines, but tuned to heat instead of cold. Temperatures above roughly 43 degrees Celsius cause it to activate. And there's a molecule that opens it too, one found in chili peppers: capsaicin. Capsaicin binds to TRPV1 the way menthol binds to TRPM8. It opens the heat channel at completely normal temperatures. Your nerves fire the same hot signal they would fire if you'd actually touched something dangerously warm. Your brain receives the same electrical pattern, and you feel burning heat from a pepper that's exactly the temperature of the room. The lock and key principle runs in both directions. Cold has a chemical key. Heat has a chemical key. The nervous system never evolved to distinguish a physical stimulus from a chemical mimic, because at the level of the receptor, there's nothing to distinguish. The protein simply responds to whatever fits. Both of these discoveries trace back to the same laboratory. In 1997, David Julius and his colleagues at the University of California, San Francisco identified TRPV1 as the receptor for capsaicin and heat. In 2002, his colleagues David McKemy and Werner Neuhauser, working with Julius, identified TRPM8 as the receptor for menthol and cold. In 2021, David Julius shared the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for this line of work, for revealing how temperature gets translated into nerve impulses in the first place. But this raises a question. Why would a mint plant make a molecule that happens to fit a human cold receptor? The plant didn't evolve for us. One likely reason is defense. Mint plants produce menthol in specialized glands on their leaves, and the strong-smelling compound appears to help deter insects and herbivores, and may suppress bacteria and fungi nearby as well. A mint leaf probably isn't trying to freshen your breath so much as protect itself from being eaten. That menthol also happens to activate a human sensory receptor. Looks like a coincidence, a quirk of molecular shape. We happen to find pleasant rather than something the plant evolved for our benefit. TRPM8 and TRPV1 belong to a much larger family of TRP channels that act, together, as the body's chemical thermometer. Different members of the family respond to different temperature ranges, and quite a few of them also have chemical keys, molecules from food, or plants that can open them even without the matching temperature. Wasabi and menthol are two well-known examples from opposite ends of that spectrum. Your mouth is a chemical sensor as much as it is a thermal one, and it has been all along. Your sensory world isn't a faithful recording of physical reality. It's a set of receptor events, translated into electrical signals, interpreted by a brain that has never directly experienced anything itself. And that's not a flaw. It's how every sense works. Light triggers photoreceptors in your retina. Sound waves bend hair cells in your inner ear. Molecules bind to receptors in your nose. In every case, the nerve reports receptor activation, not the external stimulus itself, and the brain builds your experience from those reports. So the next time you brush your teeth and reach for a glass of cold water, you'll feel it. That sharp, electric chill, stronger than it should be. And you'll know exactly what's happening. A protein in your nerve endings is opening. Menthol turned the key. Cold would have turned it too. The signal is the same either way. The experience is real. And there's no trick to it. Only the nervous system doing exactly what it was built to do. This is reasonable wonder. Big questions. Clear science.